Ever wonder how some facts we learned in school are just historical fan fiction? These stories, passed down in classrooms and books, shape our reality even when they're totally wrong. They're not just trivia, they're powerful illusions, sometimes crafted on purpose, sometimes by accident. So, what happens when we realize our foundations are built on myths? Today, we're busting 15 of the weirdest, dumbest, and most persistent fake facts in history. We'll peel back the legends and see the strange, hilarious, and sometimes unsettling truths underneath. Get ready to unlearn some nonsense. Let's start big. The Great Wall of China. You've heard it's the only man-made structure visible from the moon, right? That's a beautiful idea, and completely false. The myth started in the 1700s, long before space travel, and stuck because it's a great story. When astronauts finally went to space, they confirmed, you can't see the wall from the moon, or even from low Earth orbit, except maybe under perfect conditions. The wall is long, but only about 20-30 feet wide, like spotting a hare from miles away. Astronauts see city lights and airports, not the wall. So why does the myth persist? Because it makes the wall feel cosmic, not just historic. But its real greatness is in the human story behind every stone. The wall doesn't need a space-age superlative to be amazing. Its true legacy is right here on Earth. Sometimes the real story is more impressive than the myth. The wall is a testament to human persistence, not cosmic visibility. Let's move on to the next legend. Next. New York sewers, home to colonies of giant alligators. Not quite. The legend began in the 1930s. Pet gators flushed down toilets, surviving and mutating underground. But there's zero evidence. The sewers are too cold, toxic, and turbulent for alligators to survive. Occasionally, a stray gator is found in a park or lake, but never thriving below the city. The story sticks because it's a perfect urban monster tale, a symbol of nature lurking beneath civilization. In reality, the only thing down there is a lot of pipes and, well, not much else. The Illuminati, secret rulers of the world, right? Actually, they were a short-lived club of Enlightenment thinkers in 18th century Bavaria. Their real goal? Promote reason and secularism, not world domination. The group fizzled out after 9 years, banned by the government. So how did they become the ultimate conspiracy villain? 19th century writers and 20th century pop culture supercharged the myth. Today, the Illuminati is just shorthand for hidden power. It's easier to blame a secret cabal than accept that the world is messy and chaotic. Sometimes, the scariest truth is that nobody's really in control. St. Patrick driving snakes out of Ireland, great story. Impossible reality. There were never snakes in Ireland. The Ice Age and rising seas kept them out. The snakes were a metaphor for paganism, not reptiles. St. Patrick's real mission was converting Ireland to Christianity. The legend took a metaphor and made it literal, turning a cultural shift into a miracle. The image stuck because it's simple and powerful. In truth, Patrick banished old beliefs, not snakes. Sometimes a good story is just a symbol in disguise. Absinthe, the green fairy, was blamed for madness and hallucinations, but the real culprit? Alcohol, not wormwood. Science shows absinthe's psychoactive ingredient, thujone, is present in tiny, harmless amounts. The drink's bad reputation was fueled by the wine industry. Threatened by absinthe's popularity, they launched smear campaigns and funded fake studies. Absinthe was banned, not for its effects, but for its competition. The wild stories were marketing, not medicine. The real effect? People just got very, very drunk. The legend was intoxicating, literally and figuratively. Lemmings don't commit mass suicide. That myth comes from a staged 1958 Disney documentary. Filmmakers herded lemmings off a cliff for dramatic effect. In reality, lemmings migrate and sometimes fall by accident, but they're not self-destructive. The myth stuck because it's a powerful metaphor for blind conformity. But it's pure fiction, created for entertainment, not science. Real lemmings are just looking for food and territory. Sometimes even nature documentaries can be fake news. Don't believe everything you see on screen. Diamonds, rare, precious, and the ultimate symbol of love. Not really. Diamonds are common. Their scarcity is manufactured by De Beers, who controlled supply for decades. The real genius was marketing. A diamond is forever, made engagement rings a must-have. Hollywood, ad campaigns, and invented traditions turned diamonds into a cultural necessity. The 3-month salary rule, also invented. In truth, diamonds have little resale value and aren't rare at all. Their worth is a marketing illusion, not geology. The diamond ring is the most successful advertising myth in history. Love is real. Diamond scarcity isn't. Sometimes the best-selling story is just that, a story. Elementary, my dear Watson. The most famous Sherlock Holmes line, except he never said it. Holmes says elementary and my dear Watson separately, but never together in Conan Doyle's stories. The phrase was invented for stage and film adaptations, then stuck in pop culture. It's a classic case of the Mandela effect. Everyone remembers it, but it never happened. The line is so perfect, we want it to be real. Sometimes adaptations overwrite the original in our memory. The catchphrase is fiction, but it's become part of Holmes's legend. Did medieval people think the earth was flat? Nope. Educated people knew it was round since ancient Greece. Columbus's real debate was about the size of the earth, not its shape. The flat earth myth was invented in the 1800s to make the Middle Ages look ignorant. It's propaganda, not history. The real story is about scientific disagreement, not superstition. The myth tells us more about 19th century biases than medieval knowledge. Sometimes the Dark Ages weren't so dark after all. The Titanic, unsinkable until it sank. But the White Star Line never officially called it unsinkable. The term was practically unsinkable, based on its design. The iceberg breached more compartments than the ship could handle. The myth of unsinkable was born after the disaster because it made for a better story. Newspapers dropped the practically for dramatic effect. The real tragedy was a design pushed beyond its limits, not hubris. The legend grew in the retelling, not the planning. Sometimes, the story we remember is written after the fact. Cleopatra, Egyptian beauty and seductress? Not quite. She was Greek from the Ptolemaic dynasty, and likely not considered a great beauty by her contemporaries. Coins show a striking, not conventionally beautiful woman. Her real power was her intellect. She spoke 9 languages, was a shrewd ruler, and a brilliant strategist. The seductress image was Roman propaganda to diminish her achievements. Cleopatra's true legacy is her political genius, not her looks. The myth is more about undermining a powerful woman than telling her story. Sometimes history rewrites women as temptresses instead of leaders. Newton's apple didn't hit him on the head. He saw an apple fall and wondered about gravity. The bonk was added later for flair. Newton's real breakthrough was connecting gravity on Earth to the motion of the moon. A leap of imagination and years of work. He had to invent calculus to solve the problem. The apple was just a spark, not the answer. The myth simplifies a lifetime of effort into a single moment. Science is rarely about eureka moments. It's about persistence. The real story is harder, but much more inspiring. The Iron Maiden, spiked coffin of medieval torture. Total fiction. No evidence it was ever used in the Middle Ages. The idea was invented in the 1700s as satire, then built as a museum prop in the 1800s. The real Middle Ages had plenty of brutality, but not this device. The Iron Maiden is a Victorian fantasy, not a medieval artifact. It tells us more about modern obsessions than medieval reality. Sometimes, the scariest things in museums are just props. Baseball, America's pastime, invented by Abner Doubleday in 1839. Not true. Baseball evolved from English games like rounders and cricket. The Doubleday story was invented in 1905 to give baseball a patriotic origin. Doubleday never claimed to invent it and wasn't even in Cooperstown. The real game was shaped by many people over decades. The myth gave baseball a hero and a birthplace, convenient for the Hall of Fame. History is often written by marketers, not players. The real story is about evolution, not invention. General Tso's chicken, iconic Chinese dish? Actually, it's Chinese-American, invented in Taiwan in the 1950s, then sweetened and deep-fried in New York to suit American tastes. The real General Tso never tasted it. He died decades before it was created. The dish's name is just an honorific, not a family recipe. In Hunan, nobody eats it. It's a story of migration, adaptation, and culinary creativity. The dish is a fusion classic, not an ancient tradition. Sometimes, authenticity is just a matter of taste. 15 myths busted. From cosmic walls to chicken legends, we've seen how stories shape our reality. Myths stick because they're simple, exciting, or useful. But the truth is always more complex. History isn't neat, it's messy, collaborative, and full of surprises. Question what you think you know. Ask who benefits from the story. The real world is stranger and more fascinating than any legend. Unlearning a lie makes room for something more wonderful and true. Thanks for watching. Stay curious.